volunteer bike coordinator for the city. I'm also on the board of the Verde Valley Cyclist Coalition, which is a local bike club, bike advocacy. We work closely with the Forest Service to build trails. We also raise money to help sweep bike lanes, do all kinds of things to improve the quality of biking in the Verde Valley. Sedona is a great place to ride a bike. We're a silver level bike friendly community according to League of American Bicyclists. We've got over 250 miles of Forest Service multi-user trails in and around the city. Sedona is about 19 square miles. About half of that's Coconino National Forest, half is private land, and there's a lot of trails in the city limits, and there's a lot of trails just outside the city. We've also got a lot of bike lanes. Highways 89A and 179 have bike lanes. We've got a few bike lanes on arterial streets within the city. The bike coordinator position was created about 5 years ago to help solve a problem. Just about every neighborhood has a way to connect to the forest from the neighborhood. And there's quite a few legal trailheads around the city, Forest Service trailhead, but there's also a lot of just social trails that lead into the forest. And as the city gets built out, you know, somebody buys a piece of land and puts a house on it, they close the trail that everybody's been using for the last 20 years to get in the forest. And so suddenly you got a problem. And so the city manager decided, well, we need a bike coordinator. And so they created a position, it's a volunteer position to, initially they wanted us to just kind of go out and identify places around the city where people in large numbers were crossing private land to access the forest. And so another guy and I did that, and then we reached out, looked up who the property owners were, some like they're out of state, and tried to negotiate an easement from them. And the city was willing to pay for the survey and the price of the easement, willing to indemnify the property owners if they would grant an easement. And we had some success. We got a few easements. We actually found one Forest Service trail that crossed private land. Been that way for many, many decades. And we were able to get an easement from that property owner and reroute the trail along the edge of their property. As a city bike coordinator, the idea of a bike park had been kicked around for a number of years and hadn't really gone anywhere. And so Parks and Rec manager said I should get my act together and start working on the bike park. So I looked around the community, and in West Sedona, if you're familiar with West Sedona, this is Posse Ground Park. This is West Sedona Elementary School. Posse Ground Park is a multi-sport complex. There's soccer fields, baseball fields, basketball, tennis, swimming pool. There's a skate park, BMX park right here, and then there's some vacant land. And this spot here is just the perfect spot for a bike park. It's kind of flat up in this area, and then it's hill. It's all downhill, going down to this kind of the lowest spot in the way right down there. And so I thought, well, this is the perfect spot for a bike park. It's about 13 acres. There's nothing else. You can't build a ball field on it because of the terrain. There's a couple hiking trails going through there now. And so the Parks and Rec manager said I should write a capital improvements project plan, try to get some money for the park. And so I did that in 2012, and it was submitted to the city council along with all the other capital improvement projects, you know, sidewalks and roads and sewer complaints and all kinds of things that cities build. And the project survived the winnowing down process, and so then it came time to go through the Parks and Rec Commission, get them on board with the idea. And then in June of 2013, went to the city council and proposed the idea, and they kind of looked at me like, you must be kidding, you want me to give you 13 acres of land to build a bike park? They didn't say no, but they sure as heck didn't say yes. They tasked us, the Parks and Rec manager and I, to go out and do a couple things. They wanted us to look around the city, see if there was any other places to build a bike park. They wanted to know what other communities who had bike parks, what they thought of their bike parks. And they wanted us to talk to all the HOAs. As you can see, there's a number of houses around there. There's 4 different HOAs, homeowner associations around that Crossing Ground Park. And so we went out and did all that, and We looked at, the only other really feasible area is this area up here. This is still city land. This is all city land except for the school. But that area above isn't as good as this. That's about 10 acres up there, and the 13 acres down below is really a lot better terrain for building a bike park. And so we also gathered a lot of support. We went back to city council in October 2013, 4 months later, and we kind of had our ducks in a row. We filled the city council chambers, probably had, I don't know, 50 to 100 people in support of the bike park. People spoke there in public forum, kids, parents, mountain bikers, citizens, and it got approved. It's amazing, in four months with the same city council, that went from "you must be kidding" to "sure, we'll give you 13 acres, no problem." They did say, the challenge to us was the users need to raise the money for the design, and then the city would pay for the park. And my original budget was to build this park was $140,000, $30,000 for design, $110,000 for construction. That was based on research I'd done on the internet. And the design number was pretty good. The construction number is not so good. But we went out. Right after that, I formed a bike park task force. Patrick Kell spoke earlier, and Anthony just spoke on that task force, as well as other bike shop owners, mountain bikers, people from the community. And we set about raising money, trying to reach that $30,000 goal. And we had fundraising events. We had a movie. We talked to all the businesses in town. We had, Absolute Bikes gave us money. Anthony got money from Specialized Bikes. Mountain Bike Association of Arizona gave us money. Gravity Riders Organization of Arizona gave us money. So we got a lot of donors. And we ended up raising $37,000. So we exceeded our goal. And went back to the city, and the city was involved too. We then put out a request for bids for somebody to design the park, and we got 3 companies bid, and we selected Inba Trail Solutions in partnership with a company called Stantec, which does engineering and design and construction of all kinds of parks and other things. And they won the bid, and they designed the park. And basically what we asked them to do was to look at this terrain and come up with the best bike park to utilize all these cool terrain features in 13 acres. And we wanted to do the full design. Only wanted to go through the design process once. Only wanted to get the design approved once, so that once it's done, it's done. We don't have to go back to city council or anybody else and get approvals. We're only going to do it once. And we asked them to come up with 3 conceptual designs for that terrain, that 13 acres. And they did, and they came up with 9 features that could go in that area. 3 different types of flow trail, a pump park, a jump park, a dual slalom, a bike skills area, a drop zone, a tide area. And the 3 different concepts just kind of rearranged where things were in that area. And we had a big public meeting. And I have some of the display boards back there on the table, some of you've been looking at, where we gave everybody dots, and we wanted people to vote on which conceptual design they liked best, and then put dots by features. What feature do you like the best? And concept B won, and could I go to slide number 2? Yeah. Show you what design that Stantec and Inba came up with. And then they went off and did their detailed design, all the construction documents and everything, to build concept B's plan. Then when the design got all done, turned it over to the city, and then here's the design, and we get it all on there. There you go. Okay. So basically, there's a school up here. Here's the skate park, the impact park. This is kind of an outdoor performance area. We've got a flow trail, a bump and jump flow, effect flow. We've got a pump park, a jump park, a dual slalom, a tide area, a skill zone, and a drop area here. So those are the 9 features. Put it out to bid for construction, and being inside the city, there's a lot more rules you have to follow than when you're building a park like out of Fort Tuthill in the county. And the city's real particular about things. Contractor has to have a license, has to have all kinds of insurance. And most of the people bidding were out of state, and they had licenses, but they didn't have Arizona licenses. So in the first round of bids, out of the 3 companies, only 1 company had an Arizona license. And we didn't think the choice of 1 was very good, so we put it out to bid a second time. And the second time we had 4 companies bid, and this time we wrote our RFQ a little more carefully so that it was crystal clear that you had to either have an Arizona license, contractor's license, or partner with somebody who did. And the second time, we got 4 applicants, 3 of them had the proper licensing and insurance, 1 did not. And so we asked those 3 companies that had the proper license to do a unit cost on all the 9 features, or what the cost of building all 9 features, and submit that information. So then we use unit cost along with their qualifications to select the contractor to build the park. Qualifications partly is experience, but it's also based on past performance questionnaires. In other words, other jobs that contractor's done, how well they performed, were they on budget, did they communicate well, what was the quality of the final product. So the company that ended up getting is a company called Bannicky. They're not a bike park builder, they're more of a road builder than a bike park builder, but they partnered with a professional mountain biker, Tucson, Dante Harmony, used to live in Sedona, and they won the contract. And in phase 1, we only had enough money to build, we got about $115,000, and so we're building the flow trail here, the tech flow, and the pump park, this phase 1. They started construction a couple weeks ago. The schedule says it'll be done the end of this month, and so we're pretty excited that they bulldozed in those trails already. They're putting in features. They've started bulldozing in the pump park, and we were lucky. We got some dirt donated. Marriott's building a hotel on the west side of the town, and they had some big piles of dirt. The city had a drainage project where they needed some rock for their drainage project, and that construction project, that drainage project, paid for 500 yards of material to be hauled from the Marriott up here to Posse Ground Park, to this area here. They dumped it, they screened it. The rock they took away for their drainage project left us with about 350 cubic yards of dirt, and so we're using that. We're still going to need more dirt to build the remaining phases, but so for this year we're getting about 1/3 of the park built, and then it'll probably take at least 2, maybe 3 more phases to build the whole park as money becomes available. So that's my presentation. Anybody have any questions?
Doug, are you gonna have a grand opening for your first phase?
Yeah, we'll do something. We'll have a ribbon cutting. Get the mayor out there and cut the ribbon, and a bunch of kids, and have a photographer and paper take some pictures. And
Okay.
but it's a perfect location. We got this. That's kind of my ideal. Is the school's right there. Hopefully, this will encourage kids to ride their bike to school, so they can go to the park and play after school. That skate park, BMX park. I mean, there's kids there. And young adults there. Every daylight hour there is. You never see that park not in use. So I envision the BMX riders coming over and using the park, and then going back to the BMX skate park, and I think it'll be real popular. One good thing is, because this is an existing sports complex, there's already parking here, there's already bathrooms, so we didn't have to come up with any of that cost. We're surrounded by roads, so it's good access. If you had to get emergency vehicles in there, if somebody got injured or something, it's not far out of town or anything. But so all the money's going into trails, basically, and we've got a lot of good trail builders in Sedona. Sometimes too good, they get themselves in trouble building trails where they shouldn't. But so hopefully we're going to be able to use some volunteer labor also to work on these trails. This will be a city park, just like a ball field or basketball court or anything else. So the city will pay to maintain it, and we hope to have clinics and classes there. We've got some certified bike instructors that we hope to put on clinics when the school has their bike rodeo every May, like they're going to do here in about a month. We hope to be able to use the park for the bike rodeo, and so I'm real excited. It's real scenic. I wish my other pictures came up, because we're up on a hill. It's just really panoramic. You can stand up there and look out and see the Mogollon Rim, and it's going to be a real pretty bike park when it's done. So, thanks.